Hello, my name is Susie Garrett, and I'm a clinical social worker in Washington State, where I specialize in working with individuals and families impacted by hoarding disorder. One of the things that makes me different in my practice is that I also have lived experience and understand how challenging it can be for family members to find resources. And so I've set out through one of my platforms to create this resources as people submit questions. So today I have a question that says, how do you address a parent's hoarding issue without offending them? The writer says that their family members, their parents don't think they have a hoarding problem, but they're seeing a room that used to be a guest room and a small kitchen space completely full of stuff unusable. And that when they tried to intervene, the writer and their spouse, there were some big conflict around that. So how do we engage with someone without offending them? And I think it's a great question. I think that the number one thing that I like to do when I'm having a tough conversation with a loved one about something that maybe I feel like they're going to have problems with is to take a moment and think about what is something that maybe I feel like I have a problem with, but maybe I'm ashamed of. Maybe I'm not wanting people to know about it, certainly not wanting to talk about it openly. And then think about if someone who cared for me deeply was going to have a conversation with me about this behavior, this action, this whatever it is, how would I want them to present it? And I'm just going to always lead with, start with your concern for their overall well-being and minimize a focus on the clutter, on the things in the space. Why? Well, because honestly, that's why it matters. Is you're concerned about their well-being. And when we start with a concern about their well-being and hear them and their experience and around their well-being or lack of well-being, maybe they're depressed. Maybe they have very high anxiety, right? I don't know in this scenario what the person with the hoarding behaviors has, but a lot of people with hoarding behaviors have other mental health challenges. A lot of them are very sensitive to anxiety. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means they avoid anything they even think might cause anxiety. And so they don't experience a lot of anxiety until things go really bad, because that's when they're now dealing with it. They've put it off, they've avoided. A lot of social phobia. There's a lot of depression. So we see these things a lot when we work with people with hoarding behaviors. So start there and ask how you might be able to support them in taking the steps they need to improve their well-being. What's behind the hoarding? What happened that this room, this guest room that used to be open is no longer there? And we want to be careful because we're not trying to be their counselors, and especially families where hoarding has been an issue for decades. There's sometimes this role reversal, and we don't want to get into parentification where we're becoming the sole source of advice and counseling to our parents. That's not what we're doing here. We want to just hear what their concerns are and then share our concerns and see if there's any way that we can help them take the next step. Again, the best way I've found is to think about something that maybe I'm sensitive about talking about and imagining how I would want someone to have that conversation with me, to confront me, so to speak, to bring it to the front and to not tiptoe around it. And that's a big deal. That's a big, important step for changing hoarding behaviors in the relationship with our family members around their hoarding behaviors. I hope this was helpful. If you're watching and you have a question, look down below in the description for a link to how you can sign up for support groups. We do a monthly support group for adult children, or to submit your own Ask Me Anything About Hoarding question. I'd love to help you and answer your question.